You could join us for our 7:30 news bulletin. My name is Tandy Wenzamara. A look at the headlines before we begin. Pope Leo XIV reflects on Christian hope, calls on the faithful to trustingly cast burdens onto Jesus. Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB will not use United Kingdom's National Crimes Agency evidence to prosecute Kezi Msukwa and Ashok Nair. 17% drop in tobacco revenue raises concerns over broader economic implications for Malawi. And in other news, Los Angeles police enforce curfew amid protests over Trump's immigration crackdown. We do have the details of these stories and more. Just stay with us. Pope Leo XIV reflected on Christian hope during his general audience on Wednesday, explaining that there is no cry that God does not hear, even when we are unaware that we are addressing him. The Pope illustrated this idea with the story of Bartimaeus, described in the Gospel of Mark as a blind beggar who encountered Jesus as he was leaving Jericho. According to Pope Leo, this story helps us to understand that we must never abandon hope even when we feel lost. We have more details in this Catholic News Agency report read by Charity Shlanga.
Holy Father today spoke on the healings performed by Jesus and invited Catholics to bring before the heart of Christ their most wounded or fragile parts, or those areas of life where they feel paralyzed or stuck. Pope Leo focused on the attitude of Jesus, who does not immediately approach Bartimaeus, but instead asks him what he wants. Indeed, the Pope said that Bartimaeus does not only wish to see again, he also wants to regain his dignity. The Holy Father said sometimes people feel stuck because life has humiliated them and they simply want to regain their worth. For this reason, he called on the faithful to do everything they can to obtain what they seek, even when others scold, humiliate, or tell them to give up. The Pope stressed that what saved Bartimaeus is faith. He also reflected on Bartimaeus' gesture of casting off his cloak in order to stand up, comparing the beggar's cloak to the illusion of security that people often cling to. The Pope noted that in order to go to Jesus and be healed, Bartimaeus had to expose himself to him in all his vulnerability, a fundamental step on any path to healing. Finally, the Pope called on the faithful to trustingly bring to Jesus our illnesses as well as those of our loved ones, and the pain of those who feel lost and without a way out.
Supreme Court of Appeal has faulted the manner in which the Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB collaborated with the National Crimes Agency NCA of the United Kingdom UK to obtain evidence that led to the arrest of former Lands Minister Kezi Msukwa and Zuneth Satar's business ally Ashok Nair. In the full bench ruling delivered on Wednesday by Justice of Appeal Frank Kabanda, the court has since directed that the Bureau should use locally investigated evidence if it intends to proceed with the prosecution of the matter in the High Court, according to Msukwa's lawyer, Chimwemwe Kalua. Chief Legal and Prosecutions Officer for the Bureau, Bernard Mlozowa, says following the ruling, they will have to decide on how to proceed on the High Court using the locally investigated evidence. Robert Edward has more details on this report.
Chirwa noted that the poor performance in sales over the past 3 weeks.
The court's direction was premised on the fact that the Bureau did not go through the Attorney General to collaborate with the UK's National Anti-Crimes Agency on the evidence that was used to arrest the former Lands Minister Kezi Msukwa and corruption suspect Zuneth Satar's business ally Ashok Nair, as required by the procedure. According to Msukwa's lawyer, Chimwemwe Kalua, the Bureau will have to decide on how to proceed with prosecuting the matter in the High Court using the locally investigated evidence because the NCA evidence cannot be used in the court. In the ruling, the Justices of Appeal have also faulted ACB for handcuffing Nsukwa during the time of the arrest when he was unwell. However, the Supreme Court has agreed with the Bureau that it had powers to arrest the two as it obtained a warrant from the court. Nsukwa, a former lands minister, was arrested in 2021 with Asokuneya in connection to the alleged corrupt dealings of the businessman Zuneth Satar, and this informed President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera to fire Nsukwa from the cabinet. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
The recent 17% drop in tobacco revenue has raised concerns over the broader economic implications for Malawi, especially on foreign exchange and rural livelihoods. An economic expert, Happy Chirwa, notes that the decline is not good news as it reflects weeks of low sales, prompting government intervention through key ministries to address the pricing concerns. Judith Organ has filed a report read in our studios by Patrick Pupa.
Chirwa noted that the poor performance in sales over the past 3 weeks led to urgent talks between government officials and buyers in an effort to stabilize the market. He warned that the decline in tobacco earnings could significantly affect Malawi's foreign exchange reserves, since tobacco remains the country's top export crop.
Drop for itself is not a good news, because if the revenue has gone down by 17%, it's not a good news, and this is a result of I think the last 3 weeks we noted that the sales were going at a lower price, and we saw the government intervening through the Minister of Agriculture, so making sure that the prices should start responding better.
While tobacco farmers are the hardest hit, with many risking losses this season, there is a gleam of hope following government efforts to engage buyers and address pricing mechanisms. Chirwa added that although Malawi should maintain tobacco production, it is time to seriously explore alternatives, especially amid global anti-tobacco campaigns that continue to affect demand.
Minister of Higher Education Dr. Jesse Kabwira has urged African countries to find agricultural innovation technologies that can be used in Africa to deal with food deficit and increase agricultural productivity. The Minister of Higher Education was speaking during a panel discussion at second edition of African Conference on Agricultural Technologies ACAT 2025, currently taking place in Kigali, Rwanda. She said it is very important to include other sectors in both policy making and the implementation of research within the agricultural sector. We have more details on this report filed by Gift Karunga.
Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Jesse Kabwira, urged African nations to adopt an integrated cross-sector approach to agriculture. She emphasized the need for stronger coordination between innovation agriculture and finance. She also said that there is need to integrate technical, entrepreneur, and vocational education and training authority, TVETA, institution into higher education framework. The conference has brought together different community of agricultural researchers, policymakers, industry leaders, and innovators to share solutions to agriculture and productivity across Africa. Among the higher profile delegates attending the conference are the Prime Minister of Rwanda, Dr. Eduardo Ngirente, former President of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, and the Executive Director of the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF, Dr. Canasius Kanangire, Professor Agri Ambari, the Chair of Board of Trustees of ATTF and Executive Director of the Hub for Development Research and Advisory Services, HDRAS. The conference is scheduled to run from 9 to 12 June 2025. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
You're still watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center, and today with me, Tandy and Zamara. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV reflects on Christian hope, calls on the faithful to trustingly cast burdens onto Jesus. Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB will not use United Kingdom's National Crimes Agency evidence to prosecute Kezi Msugwa and a Mayor. 17% drop in tobacco revenue raises concerns over broader economic implications for Malawi. And in other news, Los Angeles police enforce curfew amid protests over Trump's immigration crackdown. Proceeding with the news, Airtel Malawi has today unveiled a new partnership with Centenary Bank designed to make school fees payments easier for institutions that bank with Centenary. Airtel Money Managing Director Tozanika Mkondo Sande said the initiative is expected to minimize queues in banking halls and reduce the inconvenience of manual fee payment processes for both parents and schools. We have more details on this report, followed by Bridget Manoga and read in our studios by Charity Shidanga.
As part of this collaboration, a service called St. Fees has been introduced, allowing parents and guardians to pay school fees directly from their mobile phones via Airtel Money or Centenary Bank's digital platforms. Airtel Money Managing Director Tokozanika Mkondo Sande explains that St. Fees will enable parents and guardians to conveniently pay school fees straight from their mobile phones through Airtel Money or Centenary Bank's digital platforms.
As Airtel Money, being the largest mobile money network in Malawi, we continue to do innovations that support the life of Malawians, and education being one of the fundamentals of Malawi growth. We saw it very important to partner with Centenary Bank that we can enable parents, guardians, and schools to be able to pay school fees to all the schools who have bank accounts with Centenary Bank at the tip of their hands using Airtel Money services.
On his part, Centenary Bank Managing Director Godfrey Biekwaso noted that the partnership is an important step in broadening access to digital financial services across Malawi. He emphasized that this aligns with the bank's mission to promote financial inclusion, particularly within the education sector.
When we opened Centenary Bank, we promised financial inclusion, we promised convenience, we promised innovation, we promised simplified products, and we promised transformation of lives.
Basa at St. John's Secondary School, one of the institutions benefiting from Centenary Bank services, Sister Valentine Kuchikanga, said the system will greatly ease the challenges parents face when making school fees payments by eliminating the need to stand in long lines.
Is the school the issues of accuracy of our statements, of our reports, since we are going to have instant transactions from the parents, we are going to be able to see the transactions instantly. If the parents pays fees, we'll be able to see the transactions so that we can put them in our records.
Beyond St. Fees, the partnership has also introduced the St. Value, a service that allows Airtel Money agents to seamlessly transfer funds between Centenary Bank accounts and Airtel Money wallets, enhancing liquidity for agents and providing greater convenience for customers conducting cash-in and cash-out transactions.
In sports, the Malawi national football team, the Flames, have been eliminated from the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup in South Africa following a defeat to Angola on Tuesday. Assistant coach Peter Mponda expressed his frustration and disappointment with the result, which ultimately ended Malawi's campaign in the tournament. Patrick Pupa has more details on this report.
Malawi's campaign ended with 2 losses by losing to Lesotho and Angola, and a draw with Namibia, earning them a single point and finishing at the bottom of Group B. Despite the disappointment, assistant coach for the Flames Peter Mponda commended his players for their good performance throughout the tournament.
Today it's more painful because we only lost through one set piece, which we didn't defend well. But that's what happens in football. If you don't take your chances, you get punished. More especially like we have built a new team. We are still building. It really gave us a feeling of how it is out there. It also gave some exposure to the young lads who are coming. In terms of a result, it hasn't been good for us. In terms of performances, we are very encouraged. We need to build from these games.
The Hollywood-based COSAFA Cup began on June 4 up to 15 June 2005 in South Africa, and Malawi's exit marks the end of their journey in the competition. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Pupa.
Now, in other news, Los Angeles police have made arrests after a curfew took effect in part of the United States' second largest city amid continuing protests against President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Los Angeles police said late on Tuesday that mass arrests were underway as people gathered within the designated downtown curfew area. We have more details on this Al Jazeera report read by Emmanuel Shiwocha.
Multiple groups continue to congregate on First Street between Spring and Alameda. The Los Angeles Police Department wrote on X, those groups are being addressed and mass arrests are being initiated. Curfew is in effect. Later, many of the protesters had dispersed, although sporadic confrontations continued. Officials said curfew was necessary to stop vandalism and theft by the agitators looking to cause trouble. The curfew applies to first square mile, 2.6 km of the downtown area, and will be in effect from 8 p.m. Tuesday to 6 a.m. Wednesday. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass said. Bessie said she expected the curfew to remain in effect for several days, but stressed that the orders only applied to a small portion of the city.
That report concludes our news bulletin, but before we go, here's a reminder of the headlines. Pope Leo XIV reflects on Christian hope, calls on the faithful to trust and will cast burdens onto Jesus. Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB will not use United Kingdom's National Crimes Agency evidence to prosecute Kezi Msugwa and Ashok Mayor. 17% drop in tobacco revenue raises concerns over broader economic implications for Malawi. And in other news, Los Angeles police enforce curfew amid protests over Trump's immigration crackdown. My name is Tandi Wenzumara. Thank you for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Do remember that you can also catch us on social media. On Facebook, we are at Luntha Television, and on YouTube, we are at Luntha TV Official. Goodbye for now, and do stay safe.